Ethan's white friend Moonlight divorced because of being cheated on. Without hesitation, he broke up with me and posted the news on his social media. I wish I could go back 8 years ago and change Emma's fate. Who married that jerk? She was the one he had always wanted. After we both went back 8 years ago, he changed Emma's fate. Stop her from marrying a scumbag. And I changed my fate with him. When I saw Ethan's social media posts, I just had an 8-hour surgery. On the way back to the office, I collapsed in the hallway. When I woke up, I was in darkness. Strange private room. Colorful all around. Flashing lights and blaring music. Someone tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Claire, you have a low alcohol tolerance. Just have a drink and that's it." My blurred vision slowly comes into focus. I realized that it was Emma in front of me. She is wearing shorts. Burgundy dress, slightly curled. Long hair falling. I gazed upon her radiant, charming face. Silence for a few seconds. Before stumbling into the bathroom. Looking in the mirror, I saw a fair and delicate face staring at me. I repeatedly poured cold water on my forehead. Unable to deny reality. The scar disappeared. I went back 8 years ago, when I first entered college. Today is my roommate Emma's birthday. I accidentally drank a glass of strong alcohol. I fell asleep on the sofa for a long time. Coming out of the bathroom groggy, I bumped into someone. Before I apologize, a familiar low voice came to my ears. "Sorry, are you okay?" My fingers instinctively clenched around the phone. I looked up and saw the man in front of me. He is tall and well-built, with sharp, deep, and charming features. He was wearing a loose black t-shirt. It's Ethan. Our eyes met and stayed there for a few seconds. I ignored the ambiguity in his eyes. Put mine down and answer calmly, "I'm fine." Then she brushed past him and returned to the sofa. I just took a sip of bottled water. When Ethan entered the room, Emma greeted him with a bright smile. She held his arm tightly as she introduced him to us. "This is my brother." The bright lights continued to spin. He stood with one hand in his pocket, nodding gently, looking at us. If it weren't for the brief encounter in the corridor, this will be the first time we meet in this life. Ethan is Emma's biological brother. He is also the man I once loved. We have been cooperating for 6 years. I didn't realize it until Emma's wedding day. He doesn't love me. He was very drunk that night. "And hold me in your arms," he whispered. "Emma, Emma." At that moment, I felt completely empty and frozen. It took me a while to understand what was going on. He loves Emma, but that's when I loved him the most. So I pretended nothing happened. Be with him. And always believed what he said. She is just my sister. A few years later, Emma divorced because she was cheated on. I heard her crying in Ethan's arms, saying, "Ethan, I never loved him. I've always loved you. Do you still want me?" He explained that their mother had a heart condition and threatened to end her life if they are together. Force him to pretend to have feelings for someone else. And paired me with him. I don't know if it's true, but Ethan believed her. That night, he came to see me. After a long silence, Claire said hoarsely, "Let's break up." I looked at his handsome face. Failed to even ask the obvious questions. Why before being called into emergency surgery? Use logic and calm to suppress my emotions. I was in the operating room for 8 hours. When I came out, the first thing I saw was Ethan's social media post. I wish I could go back 8 years ago. Change Emma's fate of marrying that scumbag. Now I'm back to that time. I finally noticed the details I had overlooked before. Maybe it was intentionally ignored. Like a birthday cake. Ethan made it for Emma himself. The way he gently took the bottle from her hand. Or how he carried her on his back without hesitation. When the party is over, she drunkenly insisted on being held. The other 2 roommates, surprised at how good her brother is to her. At that time, I naively thought he was just her brother. That's why later, when Emma finds someone she likes, and started pairing Ethan and me. I was really touched by Ethan's kindness and thoughtfulness. But when the truth is revealed, I realized his tenderness was never directed at me. Whether it's a birthday or an anniversary, he always seems uninterested. But whenever Emma is around, his attention was entirely on her. From beginning to end, Ethan only loves Emma. Like now, when I was sitting in the back seat of Ethan's car, shared space with roommates. Who is drunk? Ethan glanced at Emma, fell asleep in the passenger seat. A strand of long hair, flying in the evening breeze. In the dim light, I watched silently. Ethan extends his right hand to Emma and whispered softly, "Emma, I won't let you marry him this time." My heart was beating wildly. At that moment, I closed my eyes and fell into darkness. But the understanding is clear. Ethan also went back in time. He won't let Emma marry someone else. I won't be with him anymore. Back to the dormitory. Lying on a bed that is both familiar and strange, I stared at the ceiling fan turning lazily. Blowing waves. Warm air. My head aches a little. When I fell into fitful sleep, in my dream, I seemed to be stuck in an endless loop, reliving 8 years. From meeting Ethan to breaking up with him, I heard him say over and over again, "Claire, let's break up." What finally pulled me out of the nightmare? My phone is vibrating. I opened my eyes and was blank for a few seconds. Then I picked up my phone and looked at my schedule. Suddenly, I remembered. I have a part-time job, tutoring high school students in English. I looked at the time and got up quickly. Freshen up. I just grabbed a bag of bread and went out. Luckily, my subject is English, because my job requires me to read cutting-edge medical research. I didn't let my English level drop. I browsed the textbook beforehand. Reawaken my memory. The student is a high school girl. After completing the prepared course, I started to check her English composition. Homework assigned by school teachers. The topic is very simple. I will. She put her chin on her hand and asked me, "Miss Claire, do you think I can be a cartoonist in 10 years?" I answered confidently, "Yes, you can. You don't even need 10 years. Within 8 years, you will have a huge fan base," and became a very popular artist. She tilted her head and asked, "So, will Miss Claire become a doctor too?" "Yes, I just said it." Her eyes lit up. She pointed to the window excitedly. "Look, Miss Claire. That must be Mr. Ryan. He will definitely become a physics researcher." Through the rain-splashed glass, I raised my head and saw a tall figure, walking under a black umbrella. My heart is tightly clenched. Memories come flooding back. He won't live 10 years later. 2 years later, he would die in a car accident. His name is Ryan Monroe, the award-winning student of the notorious evil professor in the physics department of our neighboring university. He is often the center of the girls' conversation, often appears on the confession wall. Inter-university, known for his unparalleled looks and talent. The only obvious flaw is his humble origins. I have very little interaction with him. I saw him several times in the school library, but the most vivid memory, when I was a junior, when I visited Ethan in the hospital, who is sick. On my way back to campus, crossed the zebra crossing with other pedestrians. A speeding car ran a red light and rushed towards us. In the chaos and screams, a black Mercedes suddenly appeared, intercepting vehicles. The tires squealed loudly. Both cars hit the guardrail on the far side. I instinctively ran to the scene. There was an explosion on the way. The flames devoured my sight. For a moment, everything was quiet. The cicadas in the nearby trees stopped chirping, only to resume their deafening cries. After a while, no one in the car survived. A piece of glass scraped across my forehead, leaving a scar. The incident made national headlines. The results showed one of the bodies belonged to the car driver, the man who lost everything through gambling. and want to take revenge on society. The other is Ryan. He borrowed the professor's car, retrieved some documents from another university. I was on that road when I came back. The internet is full of his information, his photos, and stories of his talents and achievements. Rapid spread. Many mourned his death, praised his beauty and talent. Some even said that he died heroically to save others. After all, he is alone in this world. Both his parents died in his senior year of high school. Later, I went to his grave with flowers, met his professor. There, a fat, the old man stood silently in front of the tombstone. It was not until a drizzle began that he sighed deeply and said, "That boy has a bright future." I suffered from insomnia for a long time afterwards. My heart feels like it's flooded, heavy and painful. I thought it was his guilt and regret. A gentle tug on my wrist brought me back from my reverie. I'm back to reality. Ryan disappeared from the window. My student's voice pulled me back and said, "Miss Claire, I'm going to Mr. Ryan's physics class now. Don't forget what I just said, okay? Don't be late tomorrow night." Honestly, I didn't notice what the students said earlier, but a distant memory of a past life reminded me that tomorrow is Ryan's birthday. At that time, his parents are too busy to spend time with him, so he asked me to accompany him. I don't know when the rain outside stopped. A ray of warm sunlight shines through the clouds. I suddenly remembered the details. I found Ryan on the internet. After his death, tomorrow is indeed his birthday. But the truth is Ryan never celebrated his birthday. He was born on a tragic day. His firefighter father died in the fire, in the rescue mission. Same day, he didn't even get to see his son once. I thought, maybe Ryan doesn't want to hear happy birthday. But that was the day he came into this world. He shouldn't face it alone. The next day, I went to the student's home. Schedule a time in advance, with cake and gifts. Ryan is taking a class outside the window. The sun has set. He wore a simple white shirt, standing at wooden table with test paper in hand. He lowered his head slightly to review the material. His manners were elegant and calm. Seeing him like this, I can't help but think of a rumor. I've encountered this before. Blurred and unverifiable screenshots of conversations. Very short, only a few lines of text. Someone asked Ryan, "Do you have someone you like?" He replied, "Yes." So why not tell them? Reply in 3 minutes. Forget it. Most people don't trust people like Ryan, with his outstanding appearance and talent, can hide a tranquility, unspoken obsession. Of course, he was gone by then. The truth will never be known. If he's really obsessed, it is destined to be buried forever. Is it the father he never met? His mother died. A secret love affair he never admitted to, or a bright future is interrupted. Ryan's life is full of regrets. A genius like him. From our university's Department of Physics. There should be a better ending. At the end of the course, the sky outside has completely darkened. My students eagerly grabbed the art supplies I bought her. Hug them tight. If Mr. Ryan has no other plans, the 3 of us could have been together. She sighed. I paused. Then look at Ryan, packing up to leave. I said impulsively, "Mr. Ryan, why don't you stay?" Before I could explain, the power went out. The room was plunged into darkness. I coughed lightly and lied. "We girls are afraid of the dark. Why don't you stay a little longer?" The room suddenly became quiet. Then click. Flame ignition. Ryan lit the lighter. Cover the small flame with your hand. Flashing lights. Highlights the contours of his face. Make his facial features clearer. He looked at me and simply said, "Okay. Use a lighter." I lit the candles on the cake and put it in front of them. Today we celebrate the continuation of life. I looked at them carefully and said, "May you live a peaceful and happy life." Put aside my guilt towards Ryan. No one wants it more than me. Let him live a peaceful and happy life from now on. The dim room is filled with the aroma of cake. Let's share. My student, biting the spoon. ran into the study and came back with the transcript. Excited to say, "Miss Claire, my mother said I made great progress in this exam. She wants to treat you both to a meal to thank you. View transcript." I remember this happened in my past life. But then, Emma, let me help her move the props. So I politely declined the dinner invitation. When my mind wanders, I glanced at Ryan, who was sitting quietly in the soft light. Suddenly I realized something. The dinner in the previous life. I should have seen Ryan properly, but I couldn't go to dinner. On the road, I saved a child who was hit by a car. Finally, he was hospitalized with a leg injury. Unable to attend. To prove that I didn't deceive them, I took a photo and sent it to the girl's parents. The photo shows exactly where I was at the time. Include a brief explanation to reassure them. I'm not unreliable. While waiting for the doctor to apply ointment, I casually browsed social media. I stumbled upon Emma's latest post. This is a series of photos. Activities from her photography club. Of course, Ethan is also in the shot. As always, he showed up whenever Emma called. I remember our 4th anniversary very clearly. That day, Emma had a quarrel with her boyfriend. Go to the bar. Drunk and crying, I called Ethan. "Ethan, I'm so sad. Can you come with me?" At that time, Ethan and I just arrived at a nice restaurant. Dinner. We hadn't even ordered yet. When he stood up to leave, I offered to go with him, but he stopped me, saying, "Emma has always been proud. She doesn't want you to see her like this." I asked, "What about you? Does she want you to see her like this?" "It's different. We grew up together," he replied. Soon after, Emma reconciled with her boyfriend at the party. I overheard her jokingly tell him, "You're not the only one who likes me. If you make me angry again, I will leave you." Nearby Ethan, drinking in silence, saying nothing. Deep down, Ethan must have always known. Emma knew exactly how he felt, but pretend not to notice. Continue to enjoy his unwavering devotion with the man she truly loves. To me, Ethan's simple explanation, "She is my sister and your friend," enough to silence any protests I might have. Fortunately, in this new life, I won't let myself become their convenience. It's the 3rd round again. After bandaging the wound, I staggered out of the hospital. Halfway through the journey, it started to rain. The wound should not be wet. So I grit my teeth and endure the pain, and find a sheltered place to ride. Unfortunately, my phone ran out of battery. The late summer wind brings a hint of coolness. I just have to wait for the rain to stop. Just then, Ryan appeared. He came in the rain holding an umbrella. No words spoken. He took off his coat and tied it around my injured leg. "Hand me the umbrella and hold me in your arms. The road here is too narrow for cars to pass through. Let's find a better place," he said, leaning on his chest. I smell a faint bitter and fresh smell. His steady heartbeat fills my ears. When I looked away from his Adam's apple, go to his profile. When we finally got in the car, I asked, "Why are you here?" He explained matter-of-factly, "Your student's mother is worried about you. She asked me to check on you, because there is a meeting near me. When I couldn't reach you, I started looking for you." The rain makes the car feel damp and warm. I opened the window a little. I wonder how many places he searched. Tiredness set in and I fell asleep. When I woke up, the rain stopped and we arrived at the school gate. Ryan carefully helped me out of the car, carry me to the dormitory. Before leaving, I thanked him. He looked down at me, smiled faintly, and said, "Miss Claire, you don't have to thank me." Back to my dorm. I noticed Ryan's jacket was still tied around my injured leg. A few days later, when I went to return the product, autumn has arrived. Because it's raining, I need a break. I rarely leave campus. It was a sunny weekend. When I finally went to see him, I realize I'm a little impulsive. I don't even have his contact information. Find him. It feels like finding a needle in a haystack. I didn't find Ryan, but I unexpectedly met Ethan. I passed by the basketball court when I heard someone shout, "Call an ambulance." He passed out. My instinct as a doctor made me run over, push through the crowd. A boy fainted on the ground. I knelt down immediately, performed CPR. About 15 minutes later, he regained consciousness. The medical staff arrived quickly. When I stood up to leave, I noticed Ethan watching me in the crowd. He wore a red and black jersey. His expression was calm and his eyes were firm. I picked up Ryan's jacket and walked away. I heard a boy behind me ask Ethan, "Do you know her?" "No," Ethan replied. I found a nearby cafe to rest and recover. Occasional bells. The wind chimes on the door are refreshing. When I'm idle playing games on my phone, the bell rang again and I looked up. Ryan stands in front of me. At that moment, my game over sound play on my phone. I looked at Ryan in surprise and smiled. "What a coincidence to meet you here." Next second, he raised his eyebrows and said, "It's not by chance that I came to you." Seeing my confused expression, he opened his phone and put it in front of me. A post is displayed on the screen. On the university's confessional page, the picture shows me performing CPR on the basketball court. The title is, "In 3 minutes, I want all the information about this woman." This post was published less than half an hour ago, but it already has hundreds of comments. Most people just do it for the thrill, but a few people made thoughtful comments. She seems to know professional first aid techniques. Maybe a nearby medical school. Why is she in our campus? The jacket she was holding looked like a men's coat. This could be her boyfriend's. Is he from our university? I didn't continue reading, feeling a bit embarrassed. I picked up the jacket next to me and handed it to Ryan. "I have already washed it," I said. That night I returned to the dormitory. My always curious roommate immediately pushed her phone in front of me. "Look at this," she exclaimed. "There is a new post on the confession page. Case solved. She is Ryan's girlfriend from the physics department." Attached is my photo. Give Ryan the jacket back. Use pink filter in cafe. This makes the interaction seem more intimate than the actual situation. When my roommate's gossipy spirit ignites, I quickly explain the situation to her. After listening to the whole story, she sighed in disappointment, but then, "Yeah, that has potential. I will ship it now." I smiled helplessly. I looked at Ryan's contact information on my phone. His username is just Ryan. His profile picture is a pure white paper crane. After some thought, I changed his name to Mr. Ryan. In my contacts, his social media is clean and sparse. Only one post. The wind is getting stronger. The timestamp matches the day we first met. For some reason, I remembered another timeline. On the 6th anniversary of Ryan's death, I went to his grave with a bouquet of flowers. The rain just stopped. The sunset dyed the sky golden and orange. My shadow falls on his tombstone. As I stared at his photo in silence, the same calm and gentle face. Suddenly, a breeze blew, lifting hair fall on my face. The leaves rustle in the wind. Sounds like the beginning of a new story. Then time goes back. I'm back to this moment, where we meet again. I was lucky enough to come back before I met Ethan. Rather than wasting this second chance on revenge, I decided that we should be strangers. Just like the stranger on the basketball court that day, when he said he didn't know me. Freshman life is chaotic and hurried. Sudden end. My memory is correct. Ryan University incoming freshman. Emma will soon fall in love with someone. He was Ethan's direct subordinate in the previous timeline. They met at a party organized by Ethan. Emma quickly developed feelings for him. From then on, she started pairing me with Ethan through her carefully arranged matchmaking and artificial coincidences. Ethan finally invited me to join him. Now Ethan has also gone back in time. He might stop Emma from meeting the boy. Make sure he's with her. This seems to be the inevitable conclusion. But fate often brings us surprises. During the last professional exam before the holidays, I sat diagonally behind Ryan. I just finished my thesis, preparing to submit, when I noticed he suddenly woke up from his nap. He stood up suddenly and grabbed the test paper. He glanced, then looked around the room. Grab the arm of the confused student next to you. He asked, "What year is it now? Tell me what year it is." I looked at his back silently when I stepped forward to submit my paper, then left the room. Outside the examination room, Ethan is waiting. As I passed him, he called me. I stopped and looked at him in confusion. He asked, "Are you with him now?" I don't know what he meant by asking this question. So, I just want to know what this has to do with you. Afterwards, because of the rest. I haven't seen Ethan and Ryan for a long time. I thought I'd start over. Ethan and Emma. We will eventually find happiness together. But I was wrong. Even in this new timeline, Emma didn't choose Ethan. She's still in love with Ethan's little brother. Just like she was in the previous timeline. What she said to Ethan after the divorce. Asterisk, "You are the one I have always loved." Asterisk is nothing but a lie. What surprised me was this time, Emma didn't try to pair me with Ethan. Instead, she was focused on pairing Ethan with that woman. Future. It's because her husband betrayed her. I don't know what happened during the break, but when we meet again, Emma and that woman have become friends. The night air is cold. When I walked back to the dormitory with my book in my arms, from a distance, I saw Ethan and Emma chatting downstairs. I didn't stop, I just walked past them. Their conversation drifted into my ears. When I walk away, "Emma, I'll say it again. He can't, you're too naive. If you don't stay away from him, you will end up getting hurt." Emma replied in a shy voice. "Ethan, trust me. You don't know him. He's such a nice guy. Just try to stay with him for a while, please." 2 months later, Emma officially announces her new relationship. I attended a party that day, but he met drunk Ethan in the corridor, outside the room. On my way back from the bathroom, he suddenly hugged me in his arms. The strong smell of alcohol enveloped me. I struggled, but the more I resisted, the tighter his grip became. His deep, hoarse voice whispered in my ear, "Emma, why are you with him? He will hurt you in the future. You must have been forced to do this. I know you like me. I know you love me." When my efforts fail, I raised my leg, ready to kick his shin. But just as I was about to, the hand on my back suddenly loosened. The next moment, Ethan was forcibly dragged out. His wrist was grabbed and he fell to the ground. I almost fell down from the sudden release, but a strong arm wrapped around my waist and steadied me. "It's Ryan. He happened to be here for a group celebration dinner. And get outside for some fresh air." I found this scene by accident. Ethan was clearly awake after the collision, leaning against the wall. His expression was both embarrassed and angry. He laughed at me. "Claire, everything you say is a waste of time. Ignore him." I grabbed Ryan's arm and was about to leave, when Ethan's voice sounded again, full of irony. "Claire, aren't you proud of yourself? I know you've always liked me. See, I didn't end up with Emma. It must make you happy, right? But even if you're with him now, so what? He's just a zombie. He'll die anyway." Ethan's words clearly indicate that he is confused. Events and emotions. From 2 timelines. His instability drives him to attack recklessly. I don't care what he says about me, but he has no right to talk about Ryan like that. I stopped and turned to face Ethan. He still looked at us with contempt. I told him word for word, "Shut up, Ethan. He won't die because I'm here now. I want to change his fate, even though I can't get back to him." A father sacrificed himself to save others, or before his mother died of illness. I'm back to this moment. I can save him now. When we walked out of the hotel, a car horn honked in the distance. That's when I realized I was still holding Ryan's hand. His palms felt warm and slightly moist. I paused, then quickly let go, and hid my hands behind my back, clenched my fists to hide my embarrassment. Sorry, thank you, I'm trying to calm myself down. Ryan kept his hands by his side, clenched fist. He lowered his head slightly and asked him what he had said before. My heart suddenly skipped a beat, and I quickly interrupted him. He was drunk and talking nonsense. Don't take my word for it, Ryan. Your future is bright. You still have plenty of time. We were silent for a while. Ryan suddenly laughed. His demeanor is relaxed. And you will become. I will become an excellent doctor in the future. I smiled back at him, a smile that was bright and firm. As long as I'm alive, I will do whatever it takes to save lives. Emma failed to pair Ethan with that woman. But the woman still developed feelings for Ethan and began to depend on him. In a way, Emma's goal has been achieved. Because that woman didn't have a chance to ruin her future. Marriage. What now? Emma didn't expect. Ethan also went back in time. He insisted on this sentence. She once told him. In the past, lies are like an oxygen mask to him. Let him maintain his misguided love. But that's Emma herself, who will finally break this illusion. At a party I didn't attend. As my roommate later described, complex expression. Emma was drunk and slapped the woman. When she screams, no one can stop her. You shameless homewrecker. Her boyfriend tried to stop her. But the more he did this, the weirder Emma became. What surprised me was that her brother Ethan stayed calm throughout the process. He stood aside, watching silently. Emma lost control of her drunken temper. I was surprised. I opened my mouth as if to say something. But in the end I kept silent. Ethan's calmness does not mean indifference. This is resignation. He realized the truth. He knew Emma had also gone back in time. Not only did she choose not to be with him, but she even used him as a pawn, blocking others. To Emma, Ethan is just a tool. Ethan has become a joke in his own eyes. After that, I don't see him visiting Emma very often. But Emma doesn't seem to care. I met Ethan a few times. When I visited him at Ryan University. The most vivid memory. Ryan and I went to a new restaurant, just outside the campus. On the way, we passed an outdoor barbecue stand. A fight broke out there. Ethan is in the middle of it. The scene soon fell into chaos, with people shouting. Scream. The air was filled with the sound of breaking glass. A broken beer bottle flew towards me. The sharp fragments gleamed in the dim light. Ryan reacted quickly and pulled me into his arms. The glass scraped across his cheek, leaving a thin streak of blood. I gasped in surprise, Ryan. He quickly took me into a dumpling shop across the street and reassured me. It's okay. Don't be afraid. When the police arrived, the commotion inexplicably died down. Use bottled water. I gently cleaned Ryan's wound. Then he pulled out a green cartoon bandage from his pocket. I prepared to use it carefully. The door suddenly opened. Ethan walked in with some of the guys who were fighting. They all suffered varying degrees of injuries. There was dried blood on Ethan's lips. There is weak evidence that it was hastily erased. And his friends cursed loudly. The other side of the fight. I continued to bandage Ryan calmly. Suddenly, Ethan kicked the table with a loud bang. Silenced the entire group. The next day, walking through the campus in the light snow, Ethan stopped me. His face was bruised. His eyes were filled with mixed emotions. Claire, he began. There will be no result between the two of you. Take my advice. Don't fall in love with him. My expression turned cold. I threw it back without hesitation. I'm not a psychiatrist. Don't come to me. When I walk away, his voice followed, with a cold and bitter breath. Claire, the person you should love is me. Now think back. My life has been smooth without any ups and downs. Besides taking a detour to see Ethan and Emma, I wasted 6 years of my life. However, Ryan is the one to whom I owe my life. When I first went back in time, I thought my purpose was to change my destiny with Ethan. But as time went on, I realized that wasn't the case. One afternoon at the end of my sophomore year, I suddenly woke up from a nightmare. I'm back at that fateful crossroads. Crossing the street with the crowd. A speeding car is coming towards us. I watched helplessly when the black Mercedes intercepted it. Then there was a deafening explosion. The old ceiling fan above my head, blowing my hair. As I stared blankly at the ceiling, I always knew this was an unsolvable problem, beyond driver motivation, to avenge society. I have no other information about him. I can save Ryan. I can avoid that intersection. But what about the old man? Children, pregnant women, and the students who will be there when I'm desperate? I brought. The chance that they can help is only 1 in 10,000. Their answer was, briefly, Mississippi. Have you watched too many science fiction movies? Our investigation is based on science, not mysticism. In early June, the college entrance examination has begun. This marks the end of Ryan and my mentoring work. I had known him for almost 2 years, but he never mentioned any particular girl. I can almost confirm. The so-called secret crush screenshot is fake. I always wonder about the type of girl Ryan might like. Maybe she will be beautiful, or as smart or extraordinary as him. But no matter what she is, she will definitely be someone special. That night, the students' parents invited us to dinner. Thank you again. By the time we finished, it was dark. Ryan and I walked along the moonlit alley. Maybe it's because we know this is where we parted ways. Or maybe it's just the melancholy nature of the night, bringing out hidden thoughts. As we passed under the dim streetlights, I broke the silence and pretended to ask, Ryan, do you have a crush on someone? He was silent for a long time, before answering another question. Why do you ask? I replied, if you have someone you like, be sure to tell them. Don't keep it to yourself so they don't know. If you speak up, you might have a chance. Petals fluttering in the breeze. We stopped at the intersection. Ryan suddenly turned to me and said sincerely, Claire, thank you. I thought he was thanking me for my advice. I didn't think about it, and continued to live my life as usual. The day before Ryan died, in the previous timeline, his professor asked him to drive the next day, get some documents. When I learned about this, I asked him if I could go in the afternoon. I told him a friend gave me 2 movie tickets, and asked him to go with me tomorrow morning. He agreed. My choice of movie was random. Coincidentally, about time travel. It tells the story of a woman who travels back in time to make up for the regrets of the man she loved. Only then did they realize their common love. Just a dream, but I don't know how it will end. Halfway, I turned to Ryan, who was watching the movie intently, and told him I needed to go to the bathroom. I left the theater calmly, just like any other day. After I came out, I got into the rental car, then drive to the intersection. On the way, I suddenly thought of, our meeting is always the prelude to separation. Ryan, I thought, it's your turn to see the future. When I reached the intersection, I saw a familiar crowd waiting to cross the street. I'm waiting for the car to show up. Suddenly, there was an explosion nearby. Makes my heart shake violently. My mind went blank. I got off the car quickly. As I ran toward the burning ruins, I called Ryan. The phone keeps ringing, but no one answers. I stand before the flames and ruins. My vision is blurred by tears. A feeling of dizziness swept over me. The last thing I remember. I still couldn't save him. When I woke up, I was in a hospital room. The air is full of familiar smell of disinfectant. Next to my bed is my cell phone and a white lab coat. A nurse I know explained that I had fainted and had slept for 20. She told me it was 6 years later. I stare at the curtains swaying gently in the breeze. I can't tell whether I dreamed about the past, or if this is reality, until I go to the bathroom, throw cold water on my face, looking at my reflection, see the scar on my forehead disappear. I'm sure I went back in time. My hands are shaking. I picked up my phone and quickly searched for news about the accident. All I found was a vague record from an old article. No title, no hot topics, no mention of Ryan. His name, his story, his tombstone. Everything is gone. I asked countless people if they remember the accident 6 years ago. Saved so many lives. It became a hot topic on the internet. The answer is always, Claire, are you sure you remember correctly? An accident occurred, but it didn't make the news. I don't know. 6 years ago is too long ago. Ryan has no family anymore. His classmates have been scattered all over the country. I went to his university to find his professor. I learned that he had moved abroad. No sign of Ryan. There is no evidence that he ever existed. The only thing that proves our relationship. This is the last message in his chat history. With me, sent the day before the accident. This is his reply agreeing to watch the movie. In the 6 years since his death, there has been only emptiness. I type something in the chat box, but never click send. I'm worried it will become a message. Never receive a reply. As long as I don't send, I believe he is still alive. I have developed a habit of taking walks around his university. Whenever I have free time, I often come to the lake where we often go. His old laboratory is on the first floor nearby. Through the transparent glass window, I seem to see a slender figure in a white lab coat. On the lab bench, bend over and focus. Write down the numbers on paper. But the next second, the image disappeared. Ethan came to me. Back to the next day. He said, let's not break up. Just a momentary impulse. Please give me another chance. Faced with his humble and pleading attitude, I stopped writing. Sentences from my patient records. Look up at him calmly. Ethan, have we ever been together? His face suddenly turned pale. The fact is, he has no evidence. We were together. After returning to the past. This is not just news of Ryan's death. Disappeared. My 6-year relationship with Ethan also disappeared. Fate brought the 4 of us back to 8 years ago. Ethan wants to change Emma's fate. Marry a scumbag. Be with her. So he personally changed our relationship. And he finally realized. He was just used as a tool. The result is still the same. There is no contact between me and him anymore. Afterwards, Ethan became desperate, looking for any evidence to prove we were together. But his efforts were in vain. There are no photos of us or chat records on his phone. None of our mutual friends recognized each other. No longer. Surveillance video of places we often go didn't show me. As time goes by, my colleagues, the first person to gossip about this handsome guy chasing me, finally sighed. What a shame. He must be mentally ill. I smiled and gently suggested to Ethan, when he reappears, turn left and go to the psychiatric department. You should check it out. Because I firmly refused to acknowledge our past relationship. The only person who knew about this was Emma. After returning, she was deceived again. Although Ethan stopped her and the woman who would destroy her marriage. Those who are destined to cheat will always find a way. During the time when Ethan and I were entangled, Emma and the woman also snuggled up to him. Emma desperately asks Ethan for help. Tell him how much she loves him, how helpless she is. At first, Ethan was indifferent. Then I became more and more impatient. The day after Ethan refused to meet her, Emma came to me and caused a commotion. I watched her lose her temper silently, then calmly asked security to escort her out. Turn left and go to the psychiatric department. I told her you should get checked out too. Back to my colleagues again. They are indeed from the same family. Both seem to have a few screws loose. After the calm, a month later I met Ethan and Emma again. I'm in the lab. Get some documents from a colleague. When I saw Ethan throwing paper at 3 people angrily across the room, I didn't care much and turned away. Later, I learned from my colleagues what happened. Ethan overhears Emma and her mother. During this period, her mother revealed that they are related. DNA testing confirmed this. Ethan and Emma are half-siblings, half-sister. Their birth dates are only 3 months apart. This means that Ethan's father cheated on her when his mother was pregnant. That Lima once told Ethan about their mother, threatened to end her life if they were together. After a round, it turns out to be true. By mid-May, I was invited to give a first aid lecture at a university. The auditorium was packed with people. The lecture ended successfully. When I packed up the materials, I noticed a familiar silhouette in the dispersing crowd. But before I see clearly, the figure disappeared. The sky darkened. It started to rain lightly. When I arrived at the auditorium door, after a moment's hesitation, I cover my head with folders, ready to go into the rain. Suddenly, a black umbrella appeared above me. Familiar. A faint bitter but comforting fragrance wafts in. Like water. Water drops slide down the slanted edge of the umbrella. My heart skipped a beat. I froze, my hand still holding the folder above my head. Then slowly turn around. Ryan is here. I haven't seen him in 6 years. He looks the same as then. His face was calm and cold. His sharp edges, the soft glow of street lamps. After the explosion, Ryan was taken abroad by his professor for medical use. He has been in a coma for nearly 2 years. After waking up, he remains overseas to continue his recovery and continued his studies. Eventually joined a research institute. Now he's back to teach as a professor of physics at this university. He summarized these 6 years in just a few words. Simple sentences. I said so many things I wanted to say in the blink of an eye, condensed into 2. It's great that he's still alive. Nice to meet Ryan, Mr. Ryan. Professor Ryan is still here now. The only thing that hasn't changed is his popularity among women. It is said that his lectures are always packed. Some students had to stand and listen. Out of curiosity, I thought about sneaking into his lectures in my free time. Unfortunately, on the day I chose, his class was swapped with another professor's. I didn't know until it was too late. Sitting in a corner indoors by the window, I realized trying to leave will only draw attention to yourself. Stand up will disrupt most of the students around me. I hesitated halfway through the lecture before texting Ryan. I want to attend your class, but it seems I entered the wrong. What should I do now? Just like I sent a message. Professor. I was unexpectedly asked to answer a question. I stared at the geological problem on the blackboard, at a loss. Take a deep breath. I was about to apologize. I admit I went to the wrong class. When the gentle beat behind me gave me the answer, without thinking, I repeated it and it was correct. As I sat down, my phone vibrated. Ryan has not responded yet. Thinking of the help of classmates behind me, I turned to thank them, but saw a familiar face. Ryan sits casually, wearing a black hoodie, hood pulled slightly overhead. His bangs hang down, covering part of his eyebrows. A brief moment. I feel as if I saw Ryan 8 years ago. Quickly, I turned around and pretended not to notice. After a while, my phone rang with a new message. I noticed you walked into this classroom. I'm curious. What kind of course can make doctors so interested? She attended in person. The above message is what I sent him before. Before I could reply, another message came in. It turns out this is actually my lecture. I couldn't help laughing. In the 6 years we were apart, Ryan's personality seems to have changed slightly. He still maintains that aloof demeanor, but now he seems a little less reserved. From that time on, my relationship with Ryan, back to the way it was 6 years ago, although there is a new dynamic that is difficult to explain. At first, I didn't understand what the difference was, until one day, when I went to visit him at the university, and heard a conversation. One of his seems frustrated with love. Sighed and asked him, Professor Ryan, how can I make her realize that I like her? After a pause, they added, but But you won't understand the pain of unrequited love. You don't have this trouble. Would you? Ryan did not respond. The colleague further asked, "Tell me, have you ever rejected so many people? Because you already like someone." Hold your breath. I heard him answer softly with one word, "Yes." I didn't interrupt. Silently, I turned and left. 6 years is enough for a lot of things to change. I have to admit I like Ryan. I can't tell when this feeling changed. Want to make up for what he lost. Romantic feelings. But at that time, I knew there would be no result. I'd choose to suppress it. For a long time afterwards, I took advantage of work and overtime as an excuse to limit my interactions with him. Maintain a polite but distant relationship. Continued. Until Ryan showed up in my consulting room. 3 consecutive days. At last. I couldn't help but sigh. "Ryan, you don't have to come every day." He is very persistent. Serious response. I registered and queued. "I mean, you don't have to keep coming here for such a small matter." He was silent for a while. Then he lowered his voice. "It's like something is blocked. Actually, I'm not here for medical advice." Before he could finish speaking, a tall, menacing man suddenly rushed into the room. I immediately recognized him as he recently killed his wife. Victims of domestic violence. After years of abuse, she took an overdose of drugs. Despite the hospital's best efforts, death during treatment, he always believed the doctor was responsible for his wife's death. Now he is furious and points a knife at me, yelling viciously, "It's your fault that my wife died." In the ensuing chaos, the man was subdued. But before that, Ryan stepped in and protected me. Scratched shoulder. The wound was sutured with 10 stitches. I stood beside his bed, looking at his pale face. I felt a sharp pain in my chest. My voice became hoarse. Slight tremor. "I'm sorry. No matter in the past or now. Ryan always seems to be hurt because of me." After 2 weeks in the hospital, I drove him home. On the road, I gently suggested that I should hire a housekeeper for you. This may help avoid misunderstandings. He is typing on his phone with one hand, but the message paused midway. Look up and ask, "What's the misunderstanding?" The car is quiet. A breeze blew in through the slightly opened window. Ruffled the hair on his forehead. Ripples appeared on the calm lake. My fingers are tightly gripping the steering wheel. As I look at the road ahead, choose not to answer. Finally, he refused to allow strangers into his home. Take care of him. So I took responsibility. Not that Ryan needs much help. Every morning before work, I would prepare lunch for him and have breakfast with him. Before departure, in the evening, we will have dinner together. Over time, a strange feeling began to spread in my heart. One night, I couldn't refuse an invitation. Attending a colleague's birthday party. Advance. I called Ryan to let him know I'd be home late. On the way back, my car broke down, and a male colleague who lives nearby take me to my apartment. As soon as I opened the door, a strong sour smell hit me. At the dining table, Ryan calmly fiddles with his food. "What are you eating?" I asked. He looked up. His tone was indifferent. "Don't you see I'm jealous?" I walked to the table. Then he looked down at the plate. He ordered dumplings, and the small plate in front of him, full of vinegar. "Shake your head." I cooked some noodles for him. Open windows to ventilate the room. And gently remind him, "Stop eating like this." Strong vinegar taste. He lowered his eyes and ate noodles silently. No words spoken. The next day, one of Ryan's colleagues came to visit him. A colleague. Someone once asked him if he had someone he liked. See this person. It stirs up the emotions I tried to bury. Ryan has someone he likes. I don't know what my colleague said to him, but his mood seemed to have changed subtly. I felt frustrated with myself because I pay too much attention to him. That night, at dinner, I told him that your wounds were healing well. It should be fully recovered soon. He looked at me, nodded, and said softly, Well, after dinner, I quietly went to the bathroom, prepare a warm bath for him, remind him not to let water come into contact with his stitches. But when I left, I slipped. Before I fell, he grabbed me and pulled me into his arms. Our rapid heartbeats filled the humid room. Moment. I don't know whose heartbeat is louder. When I tried to steady myself and leave, his arms were wrapped tightly around my waist. Hold me firmly in place. The mist in the bathroom swirled around us, and every point of contact between us. It feels like being set on fire by the heat. He looked down at me. His expression is different from usual. His eyes were filled with turbulent tension. His voice is low and hoarse. "Claire," he said, "I need to admit something." I whispered. He hesitated before continuing. "I have feelings for you. My thoughts are in a mess. My sanity is burned to ashes by the heat in the air." I blurted out instinctively. "But you already said you like someone." Before I finished speaking, he came closer, turned me to the bathroom mirror. With one hand, he wrote a word on the fogged glass, "Yes." Soon after we started dating, I finally asked a question. It's been buried in my heart for a long time. "Why don't you contact me during your 6 years abroad?" He sat on the sofa and read a physics magazine. My problem, he pulled me into his arms. "Syncope. A unique bitter taste surrounds me," he replied in a low voice. I was scared. Before I said anything, he continued to hold me tightly. "I am afraid of becoming disabled. Not worthy of you. Worried that if I reach out, I'll want more. Most importantly, I'm worried that you've fallen in love with someone else." His words made me feel bittersweet. The corners of my eyes burn with unshed tears. I hugged him tightly. Excited, Ryan said, "You are awesome." After going through so much, still standing in front of me. A moment of silence. Then his hands moved down my waist. He smiled softly. His voice was low and teasing. "Dr. Claire, I can be better. I want to see it with my own eyes." The gentle atmosphere was instantly broken. Later, Ryan seemed determined to prove his point, repeatedly and thoroughly, showing his abilities. He would even stop and ask me, "Am I great?" I never answered, but he kept asking. Ryan took me to visit his parents for the first time. We've been dating for 6 months. Standing in front of a tombstone, I was shocked. See the woman's face carved on it. She is beautiful and elegant, although the disease tormented her, make her unrecognizable. Finally, she died beside me. Ryan said calmly. I realized then. My mother was her primary doctor. In my last year of high school, whenever I visit my mother in the hospital, I often see a kind woman in the room. If my mom is not in the office, I'll wait in the ladies' room. As time went by, I became closer to her. I will cut fruit for her, make an origami crane, and chat with her. But she died just before my final exam. This is my first experience facing serious illness and death. I think from then on I began to understand why my parents, because the doctor has no time for me. This is why I finally chose this field. I used to hate medicine. At that time, I naively thought that cancer was the only disease that has no cure. But after studying medicine, I understand. Few diseases can be completely defeated. I never thought she was Ryan's mom. On the way back, I leaned against the car window. Watching the blurry green leaves passing by, I whispered, "Ryan, I met your mom a long time ago." His reaction was calm. I know. If he saw me at that time, my heart would be moved slightly. 6 months later, I saw Ethan again. One night, I was getting ready to leave work. Ryan sent me a message. He said he would be there in 10 minutes. After changing clothes, I walked into the elevator and ran into Ethan. He looked pale and haggard. He's noticeably thinner. There were only 2 of us in the elevator, and it was quiet. When the door on the first floor opens, I walked out without hesitation. But as I moved forward, Ethan grabbed my arm. "Claire," he said quietly. He lowered his eyes. Can we talk? Frown. I shook his hand off and replied coldly, Ethan, stop wasting both of our time. He seemed to anticipate my reaction. He said with a self-deprecating smile, You might not believe me, but on another road of destiny. We've been together for 6 years. I was too lazy to answer and turned away. Behind me, his voice got lower. I'm sorry for being mean to you. That's why I lost you. My steps paused briefly, but the rhythm soon returned. Outside the hospital, Ryan is waiting for me by the flower bed. Warm tones of sunset cast a golden light on him. For some reason, I recall when the students' parents invited us to dinner. Second time, I arrived early to thank them for their concern. When I'm hurt, the parent looked confused and said, I never asked Ryan to check on you. I just casually mentioned why you were not there. Later, Ryan said, he needs to go to school and do something. Here's the thing. My thoughts were interrupted when Ryan held my hand, gently comb a lock of my hair, blown by the evening wind. He put it behind my ear. I put my arms around him and leaned slightly on him. A warm current surged through my chest. I smiled and said, Ryan, the wind is getting stronger. Ryan's conclusion. The rumors on the internet are not wrong. I'm alone in this world. If my death means saving countless families, that's it. But to be honest, I'm not as noble as people think. Self-preservation is human nature. However, if someone I care about is involved, I won't hesitate. I would give my life in exchange for her survival. After the explosion, when I regained consciousness, I found myself trapped in a cemetery. In the beginning, every year on my death anniversary, people I saved, some netizens will come to visit. What I hear most often is words of gratitude and praise. Say my death is meaningful. Then only Claire came. She rarely speaks. Most of the time, she'll put flowers on my grave, clean up the surrounding area, then sit quietly for a while. The first thing I heard her say was, on the 4th anniversary of my death. By then, no one came to visit. In the misty rain, she stood in front of my tombstone. She looked down at my picture. Her voice held a solemn promise. Ryan, don't worry. I won't forget you. This is the first time she called me by my name. I never thought meeting her would be linked to my death. But if I had to do it again, I will make the same choice. So when I accidentally went back 8 years ago, 6 years after my death, I feel at peace with my decision. Once again, I know she went back in time. I see. Her closeness to me stems from guilt and eager to make amends. But that's enough. Better than never knowing her, isn't it? The years I spent alone were too long to bear. Knowing her for 2 years makes me feel that time flies. First, if I can't be her lover, then become someone she will never forget. She didn't have the rest of her life. Such a bad choice. I don't. I do remember the perpetrator's appearance. I don't remember his license plate number. But I remember before I reached the intersection. He threw several beer cans out of the car window. Drinking and driving. That's the only clue. I have to stop him before Claire gets here. When I saw him throw another beer can out the window. When I caught up with him unexpectedly, I honked my horn. It seemed to irritate him. He suddenly turned towards a nearby square. When I speed up and block his way, an idea flashed through my mind. I never finished that movie. I may never know how it ended. That spring, I took leave to visit my mother. In the hospital, the room is quiet. She is still sleeping. I went to the other side of the room and sat down to read. When I noticed a plate of neatly cut fruit on the bedside table. Next to it is a pure white paper crane. Before I could think about it, my mother woke up. Her gentle smile lit up the room, and she said, Claire folded this for me.